January 1992, Leevon Brooks was convicted and sentenced to life for the murder of 3-year-old Courtney Smith. Now, what's interesting about this case is that Courtney Smith was the daughter of Kevon Brooks, ex-girlfriend. And the only actual witness to this case was Courtney Smith's 6-year-old sister and her 1-year-old sister, but 1-year-olds can't really talk. Now, what happened to Courtney Smith was she was raped and murdered and left in a pond 240 feet from their house, and she was found with bite marks on her leg. Now, the conviction. There was a few factors that led to him being convicted, one of which was he was the ex-boyfriend that gave the 6-year-old someone who she could identify with in her mind. And if we think of some of the class concepts of how people are interrogated in the Lincoln Park Five and things like that, a lot of the time when people are interrogated, there's very probing, very leading questions that can cause a teenager or someone who's anyone really to say a false conviction. Now just imagine that with a 6-year-old. It's even more. Unfortunately, though he did not commit this murder, he served 16 years in a Mississippi prison. A doctor named Dr. Michael West was largely responsible for him being convicted because he claimed that the bite marks on Courtney Smith's leg matched up with his bite marks. And he said there was no way. What he said held up in court, and there you have it. Fortunately, the Innocence Project got involved, as well as some other organizations, to prove Brooks innocent. Many fallacies were pointed out in the autopsy, largely because another man named Kennedy Brewer was charged and convicted with the exact same crime. Like, it's crazy how similar they were. It was another 3-year-old girl who had also been raped and murdered and taken from her home and put in a pond. And he was the ex-boyfriend, all that. It was very similar. But what was different in his case is that there was semen found inside of the little girl. And that proved that it wasn't his semen. So they're like, well, this whole bite mark thing must not work. So then they looked into it, and after a whole ordeal, the man who actually committed both murders, he admitted that he committed both murders, and both men were freed. Though unfortunately, this was after 16 years of being in this prison, and with all of the things. And the Innocence Project didn't get involved until 2001, and he was released in, I believe, 2007. So 2008, actually. It took 7 years for him to be exonerated after this whole group of people were lobbying for him to be free. You can see this. We saw this in a case of Mario Rocha, where, it's a really long process. Even if everyone believes that, you're innocent, it just, the process takes a long time. And, well, that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. Fight on. I don't know.